Thank you. Assalamualaikum and good afternoon. Yang bahagia Datuk Lee Yao Cho, Tan Sri, and ladies and gentlemen. So Bank Negara has long been a believer in the potential of the Chinese economy. So I think if we look back, the cooperation between Bank Negara and the Chinese, the People's Bank of China has gone more than 10 years. And maybe just to affirm this point, if you recall, when Bank Negara unpegged, when Malaysia unpegged the ringgit, it was in 2005, it was together with the People's Bank of China. So this reflects a long history of cooperation between Bank Negara and People's Bank of China. Now, we know the size and the importance of China to the global economy, and I think Datuk Lee just now has already given some reflection of the importance of China. So if we look at our own Malaysia's trade with China, we can see that we've always been the largest trading partner with China in ASEAN. So at least this data shows for the past 5 years, we have been China's biggest or largest trading partner in ASEAN. And we trade with China in a variety of industries. In E&E is by far, electronics is by far the largest sector at over 40%. Of course, palm oil is 7%, and there are a host of other sectors that Malaysia trades heavily with China. So the potential for the relationship to strengthen further is certainly there. And I think it's telling that just now, Datuk Lee also mentioned the figure of 25% of trade with China is invoiced in renminbi. Unfortunately for Malaysia, the amount of trade that is invoiced in renminbi is just over 2%, though we actually were almost zero just 5 years ago. But this certainly has been growing quite rapidly, but still it's a very low number, where we trade more than $100 billion with China each year, but the trade itself is only 2% invoiced in renminbi. So Bank Negara, as a facilitator of market development, when we began the renminbi initiative a couple of years ago, we made an effort to go out and reach out to industries to discuss with them the potential of settling in renminbi. So we have, I believe, spoken individually to a number of companies even present today among the palm oil exporters. And actually it's for that I think it's also quite opportune for me to speak to an audience such as this altogether, because we have approached many of you individually, but also beyond that, Bank Negara as in our initiatives to facilitate more renminbi settlement for trade in among our trade with China, we have also approached other industry associations. So just to look back, the efforts by Bank Negara started in 2009. So 2009, we signed the first swap agreement that we had with the PBOC, which was for a renminbi 80 billion. And in 2012, we renewed this to about 180 billion. So the purpose of this swap is certainly to facilitate trade. So the terms that we started in 2009 was to facilitate payments for trade to be settled in renminbi. So at the same time, Bank Negara was also given the approval to invest in the China onshore money market and bond market. In 2010, the renminbi ringgit became the first emerging market currency, in fact, to be traded on the China foreign exchange trade system. And 2012, Bank Negara also initiated, together with MyClear, the capability of settlement of renminbi in the real-time gross settlement system, or rentas, called rentas. And at the time, Bank of China was already appointed an onshore settlement institution. So by 2015, the big announcement was, of course, Bank of China became a renminbi clearing bank for Malaysia. So this puts Malaysia on par with many of the financial centers who all now are able to clear renminbi, maybe except for the US. But for Singapore, Hong Kong, London, Frankfurt, many of these financial centers also have a clearing bank, and Malaysia is one of the emerging countries that also has now a clearing bank. So what, maybe just to explain, and I'm sure the lady from Bank of China will probably explain a bit more about the clearing bank facility by Bank of China, so I won't go too deep into that. But essentially what a clearing bank is able to do is to be able to connect between the Malaysian financial market and the China's mainland financial market. So what this, so through the swap agreement that Bank Negara has signed with the PBOC, Bank Negara is also able to provide this same connection, a similar connection to the mainland onshore market. So through this, we had in the past introduced a renminbi liquidity facility. So the purpose of this facility, then it would enable our financial institutions in Malaysia, in the domestic market, to be able to offer to the corporate sector and the public at large the ability to conduct financial transactions from renminbi to ringgit and vice versa. So they are also able to offer the public at large and the corporate sector in Malaysia to be able to place deposit placements in renminbi with these financial institutions. So the facilities that were on offer were by then completes the product suite that is available in renminbi, and it enables the private sector and the public at large to be able to hold renminbi balance and settle renminbi balances and receive them with the domestic banks in Malaysia. And all this renminbi then will be channeled to the onshore market. So now, with the appointment of Bank of China as the clearing bank, Bank of China is able to offer these similar services to the public sector, to the private sector, to corporates, and to the public at large. So, nonetheless, even though the payments conducted in renminbi still remain low, but Malaysia is a growing center for renminbi payment centers, and we can also offer ourselves to be a gateway to ASEAN, and certainly we think that with our own trade with China forming the foundation of this, Malaysia will certainly be able to offer these services to ASEAN at large. So Malaysia now ranks, albeit a bit low, but in the top 10 for renminbi payment centers globally. So if here just shows some of the figures, and it reflects the growing market for renminbi and also the growing potential liquidity of renminbi in the Malaysian market. So you can see on the right-hand side, deposits balances in renminbi that are held by the Malaysian corporates and private sector has actually grown to over 10 billion renminbi in the last 5 years. And also on the chart there depicts the growth in the FX volume. So certainly the market in renminbi is growing, and the liquidity is growing that can offer a better propositions to conduct financial transactions in renminbi in Malaysia. And we know that the importance of renminbi will even grow further. So we can see at the global level the efforts and initiatives undertaken by the Chinese authorities. They're liberalizing their renminbi financial markets further. This appears, even despite the current global volatility, but China appears to be on track to heading towards this direction. And China is also actively seeking the inclusion of renminbi as a reserve currency. So they are making a case for the inclusion of renminbi in the special drawings right this October, though the outcome of that still remains uncertain. Even if they don't achieve it this time, they will certainly achieve it in in the near future. So China is also becoming a large financial market, and there are prospects for the inclusion of Chinese assets and Chinese bonds and equities into the global global indices. And we certainly know of the various regional and international engagements undertaken by China and involvement in financing of new developments across Asia. So in summary, just to conclude, renminbi internationalization is developing, and Negara certainly supports strongly the development and operationalization of renminbi in Malaysia. And Malaysian firms should capitalize on this development and basically prepare for a more important role for the renminbi in the future. Thank you.